Alright, what's up guys? So I want to make this video, I want to talk about the Season 2 characters for Street Fighter 6 and also the balance patch. I'm going to be covering both of these in this. And the first thing I want to say is that, alright, so MC Mora, okay, a bunch of content creators, Big Nasty Kale, I'm just reviewing a couple of things that people have said and kind of giving my honest feedback based on what these people have said too. Clayton, Chapman, Zaffarino, Justin Wong, and Maximilian are going to be like, oh, this is like the greatest season ever. This is such a cool thing. This is blah, blah, blah. Because Maximilian and Justin Wong are extremely mainstream. Maximilian, dude, has like
of course,
a million subscribers and like all these people follow him, so he's going to be saying the positive things like, oh, it's so cool, like this is so great for it because this is the first time in history Street Fighter has ever done a collaboration in their games and it's so cool. And it's like, that's what Maximilian is going to be spitting. And the same thing for Justin Wong, because Justin Wong is very well known in the fighting game community. So Justin Wong is like, this is so great and this is so whatever. But a lot of content creators are like, what the fuck? And honestly, you can see this in Zaffarino's video here. You can see it in Clayton's video here. This guy is like the king of execution in fighting games. Look up his early shit in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Like, this dude is very, very good at fighting games. And then you have Big Nasty Kale, who is a pretty damn good jury. I mean, he's probably like a 1600, 1700 master rank player. Streams every day and whatever. The guy plays a friggin' game. The thing is that this is the big issue that I have with this shit. So, first off, let's think about Season 2 on Street Fighter 6. Season 1 of Street Fighter 6, and then let's also compare it to the previous two Street Fighter games, regardless if you liked them or not. This is content we're speaking of here, right? So, if we think back to Super Street Fighter 4, we're going to start with Street Fighter 4 and go to Street Fighter 5. So, Super Street Fighter 4. When did that come out? Super Street Fighter 4. Okay, so Super Street Fighter 4, let's see when that came out. Let's take a release. North America. So April 27th, 2010. Alright, and then Street Fighter 4. Let's see when Street Fighter 4 launched. If we're getting super official. So 2008. So, alright. So within a 2-year span, so we're on year 2 of Street Fighter 6, we are going to be having more content. So Super Street Fighter 4 launched with 10 additional characters and a giant balance patch in year 2 of their game, right? So 2 years later, a giant balance patch and 10 characters. Not even going to talk about the characters, whatever, the game, don't care. Now let's talk about Street Fighter 5 Season 2. Okay, so let's look at those characters that came. I gotta kind of go in the deep realms of the characters because it's a little bit hidden on the internet nowadays. So Street Fighter 2 Season 2 character pass. What characters were those? Why is it not showing? Oh, here we go. Steam will allow me to see. Okay, perfect. So in Season 2 of Street Fighter 5, we had 6 characters, where in Street Fighter 6, we had 4 characters. So as kind of similar to how we are now, start the season or end the season, Akuma, right? And then we get 5 more characters within the span of a year. The problem with Street Fighter 6 is now you're giving 2 guest characters in the span of a year, and the other 2 are Street Fighter characters. So you have the average of every 3 months, the average, you will get content, and the rest of it is just sit around and wait and do nothing. And what's probably going to happen based on this image, if this is correct, this might be wrong here, but if we're looking at what this image tells us here, is it's okay, we get Bison now-ish, and then autumn is realistically probably going to be November or December. So that means from June all the way to November, you don't have anything. So probably we're going to get him end of June. So we look at our calendar here. It's June 9th today. We're probably going to get him end of June, maybe early July. That means August, September, October, and maybe not until late November, you're finally going to get content. It's going to be the same issue that we had when Aki dropped. And when Ed dropped, and we were waiting months and months for content. And then you have spring 2025, which that gap is probably not bad, realistically. But then you got to wait from spring to winter, if this image is correct. That's another probably 5 to 7 months gap where you get nothing. And that's terrible when you combine that with the concept of maybe you want these characters, maybe you don't. It's a risk. Whereas if you put in one other Street Fighter character, chances are if you're a fan, you're going to appreciate one of these three and be excited for one of these three. If you were like, oh, okay, well, I'm not a fan of M. Bison, he's kind of okay, which is fine. Okay, maybe I don't want Terry, I don't want a guest fighter, but then you're screwed on Elena because you don't like Elena, and then you got another guest fighter. You're shit out of luck as a Street Fighter fan. If you honestly have a higher chance of liking this season, if you're a King of Fighters fan or Fatal Fury fan as opposed to a Street Fighter fan, because Terry is well regarded in the Fatal Fury King of Fighters world even over M. Bison. Terry is like the Ryu of King of Fighters. And Bison is like number 4 or 5 on popularity probably. So this season is like a King of Fighters season. It's not even a Street Fighter season, and it's fucking stupid because one guest character, perfectly fine. Support it. Like, you want to make something different, surprise people, go for it. Like, good idea. Great idea. Supporting it. But when you have 2 guest characters, it's a huge, giant risk, and you're going to get mixed reactions. As opposed to saying, oh, okay, well, let's do 3 characters. Let's throw in Mika. Let's throw in Vega. Let's throw in Makoto, Dudley, Viper, anybody that we've been kind of hammering on the internet. Like, Capcom does the polls. They can look on social media. They can generally know what people are asking for. They could do Necro. They could do Q. They could do Yoon. They could do anyone. But add more Street Fighter content in your Street Fighter game. Because splitting your content is just like, it's stupid. Because it's not, you're making people wait long, and you're splitting content. And it's like, okay, well, if you're going to make us wait long, which is also okay, give us Street Fighter characters across the board. Fine, we wait all year, but at least we get Dudley and Viper. Or at least we get Makoto and Rolento, or whoever, doesn't matter. Sodom, Karen, anybody, doesn't matter. Because people don't mind waiting, because it's like, oh, at least I know my character's coming. Great. Or a character I'm somewhat interested in. Great. But if you're not a King of Fighters fan and you play Street Fighter, you're shit out of luck this season. It's just like most people, a majority of people don't really care about Elena. Maybe 30-40% of the player base. But it's just like they took terrible odds with this season. Because at least in Street Fighter V, there's 6 characters. So it's like, okay, well, at least I get content. I'm getting that. I'm going to get content. And in this, it's like, well, you're not going to get a lot of content, and we're taking a risk on you. What the fuck, man? Like, how do you do that to your fan base? How do you let them roll the dice? How do you roll the dice on your fans in the second season? If you want to roll the dice and have guest characters, put it in the 4th or 5th season after we already have characters. Then you can put in, I don't know, Mortal Kombat characters, Smash characters, Pikachu. I don't give a shit. But give your fans the characters up front. We already have 4 or 5 brand new characters. We got Menat, we got Lily, we have JP, we have friggin', I don't know the other, new Kimberly. We have all these new characters already, which is cool. It's also fine. But we're at a point now where it's like, people want the characters they want to use now. Put in Evil Ryu, for God's sakes. Put in Oni, put in Rufus, even El Fuerte. It just put characters in there that we know. and we love as a Street Fighter fan base. And I can't even with Capcom anymore. I can't even like care because they just don't think. They just like do random stuff and they're like, yay. And there was an article that I read where it's like the director of the HR or PR with Capcom was like, you guys are going to be so surprised. And it's like, well, why would you do that? Why would you create something where we're going to be flipping our skulls like, well, WTF? Because you're taking a gamble on your fan base. Why don't you do the guarantee for your fan base and then take a light gamble as opposed to taking a heavy gamble? So, I don't know.